Hello, welcome back to New Forest Morphs. Apologies, we had a technical problem there. The usual 30-minute video was only 8 minutes, Jared, wasn't it? And apologies for that. Part 2 is here. Yeah, we had technical problems with the camera. The card actually said it was a slow speed card, so we've reset the Canon. We're using a Canon EOS, is it, Jared? EOS. They're very good cameras. They limit us to 30 minutes, and that's why you're seeing a 30-minute video maximum. And that's probably just as well, otherwise we can go on all day. But the interesting thing here is that Jared's reset the camera now, and he's deleted one of the files on there, which may be the files have taken over and it's slowing down because there's not enough space on there, or memory space. Hopefully we will continue with this video and we can finish what we were talking about. And we were talking about new breeders coming in and their choices of how to pair, what to get into. And I was saying, in this current climate, there's never a better chance to get in here, because you've got breeders that are willing to sell some of their existing breeders, which they've taken 3 to 4 years getting up to size. You've got breeders who are coming out that have spent 2 years developing their projects and then they want to come out. So there are great opportunities out there to get mature females, and therefore the old model of going for a baby female and growing them on is still there. But as long as you trust the breeder and they've got good hygiene and good quality husbandry, and their snakes are healthy, and obviously you'd have to inspect and check them all. It's all good news, because it means that you can get into projects. Hence yesterday we've got a breeder that's going to be giving us a proven double het DG pastel clown, and we can then get into producing our first DG clown this coming season if she gets into reconditioning mode. So my model at the moment is looking at reconditioning animals that are proven, if it's doable, and we've got it down to pretty fine art that we are pretty good at reconditioning our animals. And you'll notice that over the years we've had girls that give us clutches back to back every year. I mean, Toast is a classic example, Jared. We got Toast and Moneypenny have given us back to backs. There's quite a few animals here that have given us back to backs. So what I would say is that when you're working out your projects, think about coming in for the first time, think about what other people are into, think about getting a twist on that so you're not repeating the same production as everyone else. And you said, Jared, that when we had a brief conversation during cleaning today, that you would probably have changed things a little bit by getting unusual morphs and unusual genetics into paying a bit extra but getting something
quality rather than quantity for me.
Yeah, I think what we've realized with so many animals now, that we've probably made the mistake of actually buying too many genetics and not focusing on maybe a handful of projects. But that's okay, because I've got the overall plan that all of our projects will eventually weave into all those genetics go into, say, one snake. And so instead of having like 200 breeders, you can get down to 100 breeders, because if all the genetics are in the animal, what would normally have 5 rubs to cover those genetics is all in one animal. Therefore you have one rub, one clean, but the power is in the genetics. And if you look at someone like Ozzy and you look at his model, he's never increased the size of his facility, he's never had to worry about extra cleaning time. He's just cleaning higher end genetics every year, and he's basically selling on his breeders. There is another issue that I wanted to discuss, which is about insurance. And in the industry there's been quite a few breeders that couldn't get insurance, and it's very difficult to get insurance on these snakes. But of course things can go wrong in a facility, things can burn down, you can lose all your snakes, and there have been breeders that have had 10, 15, 20 years of genetics wiped out in a fire in their facility. The insurance company won't cover you. It was very difficult. There are some insurance companies that will cover in the US, but in the UK it's very difficult to get insurance cover. So what do you do to mitigate against that? Well, some breeders have taken the view of actually splitting up their collections and having them in 2 separate facilities. And I think the beauty of doing that, even though it's extra work and time, is that if you had a fire in your premises and your snakes got absolutely wiped out, you've got your backup breeders in another facility. Now if you look at various breeders like Justin Kabelka, he's built 2 facilities, and that helps him with biosecurity, because he has so many people coming and going in his facility. If he's got some projects that he doesn't want people to know about at the moment, which could be possible, or he doesn't want certain people exposing his higher end genetics, they walk in with a bio problem, he has got that facility which is for his eyes and perhaps a handful of people to be aware. Now that does cost money to do that, but you could, in theory, split up your collection, depending on who you do business with and the connections you have. So that's one way of mitigating against that. The other thing, which was very deeply touching, and this is how the industry operates, as you build up relationships with other people, when people hear of these tragedies, so for example, it doesn't have to be a fire in your premises, it could be a loss of power, and you're living in a cold climate and everything gets cold and everything ends up with an RI and you write off your collection. Or it could be a virus that goes in. Someone's introduced a snake carrying a lethal virus that spreads through the collection and suddenly your collection's wiped out. There's lots of risks and exposures in keeping snakes, and some of the collections over the years are worth a lot of money, and you've got to work out practical ways of protecting that. So splitting up your collections, you'll notice that with our incubations, people say, why don't you get one big incubator? We've got 4 little incubators for a reason, Jared. It's literally not putting all your eggs in one basket. So imagine if you had a problem with one of the incubators and you were away from your facility and you couldn't get to it. And let's say you had a temperature spike that killed all the babies. If you've got a quarter of your eggs in one of your incubators and the other 3 are working correctly, the other 3 are going to be protected, and therefore you're not ruining all your eggs. So you're not literally putting all your eggs in one incubator. And so therefore you've got to think carefully about all these backup plans. We've got a backup generator, so if the main generator goes down, we've got a backup to kick in. The key is to keep an ambient temperature of 75 in here if you can. If everything else goes down, we get power cuts, or we get shortages, you've got to think about these things, because these are years and years of effort could be lost in a couple of days if you're not careful. So I think it's important to think about your security, your biosecurity, who you allow in your facility, procedures that you can say before you come, please make sure you wash your hands, make sure you've got gloves, make sure that the people coming haven't gone to 5 reptile shops and walking in with mites, for example. The common courtesy is when you book an appointment to see someone, fresh clean clothes, don't go anywhere else, go to the facility, clean, and make sure that you don't walk in with any problems, because that can also be a problem. So I think that's a little bit about security, a little bit about insurance, a little bit about getting into the hobby. Is there any other snake handy, Jared? Because I don't want this video to be solely about the insurance side and the security. Are there any other snakes that have shed out today that you think are worthy of bringing them out? I know I had a couple of snakes that shed out. Just thinking, Yosha. We haven't really done much on Yosha, have we? She's a snake I bought from Jared. And let's just get her out a second. She is a pickup from last year, and I think when we bought some snakes from Jay at JVC, he allowed me to pick this one up as well and put that in as part of the deal.
This is GVK Reptiles.
Yeah. JVK. Is it JVK? JVK. Now this is Jay at JVK Reptiles and Racks. This snake came from him. He's got a very good quality yellow belly orange dream, and look how vibrant that is. Het clown girl. Now, with all your gravel clowns, we realised that we've only got one girl to go to, and Bella is in there. Jan, have a quick look at her and see how she's doing. She's under the right. She's the one that's going to be hopefully ready for October, November. And let's have a look at her. Just she is actually going to shed, but we'll just weigh her and see how she's doing. And we need to wet her bedding down a bit, Jan. You can see she's going
really
in.
Wet.
Yeah, she's going into shed. Let's get the scales set first. I reckon she's 1700 now, Jared, I think.
1816.
1816 overture. So I think we've got the 1816 overture, I think. Jared, that's good news, because we were worried we'd get her up to 1500, but my technique of giving her large multis on a weekly basis is helping her build. I think that she's going to be ready to go, Jared.
Mm-hmm.
Now this girl here, who is beautiful as well, is carrying the yellow belly and she's carrying the clown. She's also got the orange dream. So she's carrying some of the genetics that she's carrying, but she's not carrying the leopard, is the main difference. So you can see how leopard changes it, but it's very similar genes. Do you know how much she cost? This girl, last year. Do you know how much I paid for her?
Are you asking me? You on the camera?
Go on, Jared, have a guess.
What was it, 100 quid?
It's like £100. I'm thinking to myself, what a bargain. So I paid £100 for her. We spent a year building her. She is now, I'm guessing, 800 grams. 700 or 800 grams. So see what she's doing.
825.
825, 1,000 less than Bella. So we're not going to breed with her this year, but the reality is, I'm thinking about the following year, Jared. We've got another girl that you can produce your highway clowns with Orange Dream. I think that's going to be fantastic, isn't it? So, for £100, you can get into a project that's going to give you some amazing animals. Okay, it might take a couple of years to get her there, but she's getting there. So these are the things that you need to make. Now, we've got a budget of £5,000 for this year's snakes. We've already spent probably a couple of thousand of that already, Jared. There's another 3,000 that we're going to invest in. Now, the question is, when you've got a limited budget, I'll put these babies back as well, Jared, and then we'll talk about how to get into these projects on a limited budget but still hit some powerful genetics. I mean, that's one of the questions that we need to kind of answer today if we can. So while I put these away, Jared, have you got any thoughts of how to do it?
Well, I guess rather than using visuals, use hets.
Yeah. Now remember, you've got your genetic testing backing you up. So I will bring out this vanilla Enchi Lesser girl because we've got two other. I'll bring some snake candy back with us each time, Jared, because people love to see snakes, and these two are also beautiful snakes who are doing really well. And again, they took larger multis, but getting into hets is a clever way of getting powerful genetics. So this girl here, we can weigh her as well, Jared, see how she's doing. She's got a mark on her side, which is not poo, by the way. That is actually what's it called, Jared?
Paradox.
Paradox mark. She is a Enchi clown that I think will have lesser in as well. Enchi lesser clown.
We've got possible leopard, but we're not sure.
Possible leopard, but if you compare her with our other Enchi clown, she's different, Jared.
Yeah.
So I think she might be carrying leopard.
I think she has. I think she's an Enchi lesser leopard, but
yeah, I hope you're right.
I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
266.
266. So
She's like a donut.
She's doing really well. So a lot of people are wondering how people manage to get their females building so well. And a lot of it is to do with how you approach things as hatchlings, and if you give them a good start and give them good prey items and good husbandry, these snakes don't need 3 years to get up to size. They probably can get up to size within a couple of years, and some breeders have already proven that. I'm not saying we should necessarily do that, but that's another way of actually beating the market. If you get your girls up to size and they're ready to go, you're not waiting another year for the price to drop another 50%. You're selling your produce at a better price. So the key to being successful is also not power feeding them, but feeding them in a way that gets them up to sexual maturity. And I think we make a lot of mistakes of slowly progressing some of our animals, and I think the reality is that I think if you can actually develop them within a couple of years, the market doesn't have a chance to drop too much because the market prices are going to be maintained better. Whereas the longer it takes, like I've got a project that I've had 4 years that haven't even produced eggs yet. I bought the VPI Exantic pied girl. She didn't eat this time, Jab, but I just worked out she's going into shed. And she's not even given us anything. The pair cost me £3,000. The price of a VPI Exantic's dropped down to like probably £900 to £1,000. And I'm thinking, by the time I get my production out, they'll be down to 500 quid. And the whole original plan was to produce some beautiful animals within 3 years, and 5 years later I'm still waiting for production. But we were unfortunate. We ended up with a picky feeder that we didn't know how to untap. We've now untapped her, but she's still picky even now. So coming back to genetics, Jad, you mentioned your solution was using hets. Now let's take out this one here. This is a beautiful animal, Jad, and you fed this one this time, didn't you, Jad? And she fed really nicely. She was picky, but she was really up for it this week, and she's starting to put on size. Another spot nose clown, and
she's a spot nose leopard lesser. No, not leopard. Spot nose pastel vanilla clown.
Possibly vanilla clown.
So the difference is no lesser in this one.
No. So let's just weigh her and see what she weighs. I'm expecting her to be closer to 100. This one. If you can just set the
it's on 0.
About 100 maybe?
108.
108. So you think, why is she only 108 and everything else is 200? It's mainly because she's been a pain in the bum to start with. No, she didn't want to eat. but she's now eating pretty well, so they can catch up. So don't worry if you've got slow feeders, they can turn on. She definitely wants to play with me, doesn't she? She wants to come and have a bit of time. So yeah, the double het model, triple het models are good, but obviously the odds are going to be harder to hit. So I would suggest that if you're getting into breeding, go for one visual male at least, or maybe a double recessive male. Get the power in the boy and get your double hets. So you notice a lot of our projects, we've got double het DG Clown, we've got double het DG Pieds, we've got double het Hypo Pieds, we've got double het. All these are girls, and you think to yourself, you can pick them up for a few £100. Get them up to size or buy them already ready to go, and then invest in the boy. Plug in your double visual boy with extra incomplete dominance. You'll produce your double visual with incomplete dominance on a budget, and you'll end up getting into a project that could give you an animal worth three to 4 grand. You produce a boy that's got that, or a girl that's got that genetic, the whole thing opens up, and then you're going to have double visual to double visual. So you're producing double visuals going forward. The other advantage of having a boy that's carrying a double visual, we'll talk about Bingo, which is our clown pied boy. We'll put him to Calypso, and she will produce some clown pieds for us with leopard, killer and banana in. But also we're thinking, why don't we also use him to create our triple hets or our single visual with double hets to keep our odds down. So Bingo could go to any one of our pied girls, and our dreamsicle girl, our clown girls, because he's a clown pied, and he can produce a visual clown or a visual pied with 2 extra double hets. Same with the ultra male. We could put him to the ultra male girl, and we can end up with triple hets, or we can put him to an ultra male pied girl and get a pied that's got 2 double hets for ultra male and clown. And therefore you've got a 1 out of 16 odd of hitting the future production, which is still doable on 8 eggs. It only takes 2 clutches, Jared, or 2 females, and you're going to hit it. So can you see that the important thing here is on a low budget, get the money into the boy, get your double hets or your single visual het girl, and you'll find you'll hit your odds, and once you hit your odds you then take your business to the next level. So I hope that's helpful. I would probably redo things if I went back to the beginning, Jared, and do things differently.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to go through the passage of learning and realise actually this is the way forward, using hets and shed testing and looking what the market's offering. My prediction is that more new breeders are coming in. It's our responsibility to help them with their husbandry, to make sure they know what they're doing, to help them get into the genetics, to be generous, to help the new breeders coming in. They're going to get some fantastic genetics for good prices. I can't think of a better time not to get into the hobby, Jared, even though people are complaining the market's crashed.
A better time to get into the hobby.
Better time to get in. So thank you, Jared, for your help and assistance. I know that you've got a nice long weekend ahead of you. We will make some more films and videos. We might do one on Sunday. I've got Amy coming with her family on Sunday. We might shoot a video and give you an update on how she's doing on the new breeder series. And she's falling in love with more snakes, so I've no doubt some snake candy's coming out. Anything you wanted to mention, Jared, before we close?
No.
So everyone have a lovely weekend, and we shall see you soon. Bye for now.